All right, thanks to FIA for including Webstone in their webinar series. It gives me a chance to reach out to some of FIA's customers and contractors. And we'll proceed to slide 2 and get this underway. FIA has been our representative since 2001. And the next screen will show an outline of our presentation. Chris, if you can go to second slide. Chris, can you hear me?
Yep.
There we go.
The outline today, we're going to review the isolator and ProPal valve series. We've got some new things to review there. The Webstone press and press by PEX valves and fittings. We have some new products introduced. The Hydrocore manifold kits. We're going to be reviewing some install kits for the Lochinvar Noble. A review of some thermostatic mixing valves. And there's been some industry trends around tankless water heaters, and I want to show you what Webstone is preparing for that application. Go to the next slide. The isolator and ProPal series. Next slide, please. This is where it all began. I did a little research, and in 2001, which was the year that FIA became our representative in New England, this was the only isolator available, 3/4 inch IPS style. We produced 500 units and we sold out in about 60 days. So a rather modest beginning, but I didn't join Webstone until 2007. But in looking back, I think this really established the Webstone brand moving forward. Next slide. So take a look at the offering now. Really the broadest offering of isolation valves in the industry. Rotating flange, isolators with drains, double flange checks, round flanges, flange styles, which we'll review. But from 1/2 inch to 2 inch and with 7 connection styles, we've really got the broadest offering in the industry. If you're wondering about the end connections, that's green and blue. We partnered with Aquatherm about 8 years ago now and produced an end connection for the polypropylene piping. And we produced a generic version as well, which is the blue ends. And this was a challenge for our engineering group. We had to figure a way to mold a plastic end, plastic resin end onto a full forged brass ball valve. And we did it for the isolator and a few others. Next slide, Chris. Just did a little research on the market in New England as far as the press end connection goes. And this has been pretty steady for the last year or so. 45% of the isolators sold are press, and the combined IPS and sweat make up the balance of 55%. So we definitely have a press market. We've known that for some time. And it's indicative of some of the models we've come out with, which we'll review in a little bit. Next slide. Here's the story, and this is similar for a lot of the offerings from Webstone, where we've got time savings. The old way to do it is a time-consuming component assembly, and it has just made sense to a lot of the tradesmen in the Northeast and in New England to get the valve already produced. If you can take a look at where this purge valve is here on the fixed flange isolator. Next slide, Chris. When we came out with rotating flange, you'll see the purge drain here is right off of the main ball valve. And this created an opportunity to design a ball valve that could do something that nobody else in the industry has. So this is a unique product to Webstone. We call it the multifunction drain. And if you take a look at the illustrations, the one on the far left shows the application of where that illustration is, where the flow goes right through. You turn the valve to the left, and you've isolated the top of the valve and allowed the flow from the bottom, always with an outlet to the purge. And if you turn the valve to the right, you've done just the opposite. You've isolated it from below, and your flow is from the top and always to the purge drain. So this is the only isolator in the industry where you can purge from both sides of the pump. Some contractors feel this is a great advantage, having kind of a central purging location, but it can certainly be helpful if you need to purge from either side of the pump. Next slide. This round flange isolator was an idea brought to Webstone by FIA some years ago. And there are 5 manufacturers of variable speed circulators that have round flanges. You see them there listed. And we came up with an idea to create a valve 1.5 inches and 2 inches in size, because most of these applications are larger pipe size, available in IPS, sweat, and press. And the next slide, Chris. Chris, if you could zoom in a little bit, I want to take a look at the left side of this catalog page. What Webstone did was we brought all 5 of these circulators to our Worcester office, and we took a look and wanted to make sure we got the flange right. And if you take a look at the flanges, there are 3 different circumferences, all have different bolt holes, and so we had to reference it. And on this catalog page, I don't know if you can zoom in or not, Chris, but we've identified the type of flange that we designed, the RF375, 400, and 475. And we give what I think is a good reference look at how to select the right round flange isolator for your circulator model. So this is, again, unique to the industry. No other manufacturer has a round flange isolator. And the value to the trade is this. Right now, they've got to buy a very expensive set of round flanges, and they've got to build their own valve. So here you see the isolator with and without purge drain. And it's a great value and should be packaged with those circulator models. Next slide. Another idea we got from FIA was the double flange check. And this has been a unique product. Nobody else is offering this. Available in just 2 SKUs, 3/4 inch to 1.25 inches, and 1.5 to 2 inch. It's a heavy duty brass construction. It's got a rotating flange on the base and a fixed flange on the top. The check valve is removable. It's a nice high flow product. I took some flow rates out of here, 15 to 50 gallons per minute for the smaller one, and 55 to 120 gallons per minute for the large one. So a very unique product. If you go to the next slide, Chris, we'll show an application of this. These are new B&G circulators, evidently, and you see the application of the double flange check underneath the isolator with the purge drain. I don't know if you can zoom in on this, Chris, but you can get a good look at the install. You've got an isolator at the base of the circulator without a purge, and one on the top. And so that's a typical use of the double flange check. And it's been a good seller for us here in New England. Next slide, please. Go right to ProPal. Next slide. Oops. This is the most popular valve in the ProPal series, the ball drain. If you click the next button, Chris, we'll get some copy up there. Multiple connections. This is sold and packaged a lot with the isolator. And if you take a look at the insignia on the handle, there's a T-flow feature here. And if we go to the next slide, we'll show how this particular product is quite valuable to the trade. Next slide. Here's a diagram of old way versus the Webstone way. Time savings for sure. If you take a look at the illustration, we're trying to point out that if you build this particular valve, you're going to have a drain on the top of the valve or the bottom of the valve. So you're going to be limiting yourself to where you can purge from. And if you take a look at the far right, this particular valve has the ability to purge from either above the valve or below the valve. And you do this by taking the handle off the stem, turning the stem, and reinstalling the handle so you get the flow from either side of the ball. I can't tell you how many contractors at trade show have come up to me and said, man, you really saved my ass. I thought I wanted to isolate from one side, and what we have on this valve is a little sticker which explains, how to do the handle swap, and the contractors evidently read that, but it's another little feature of how to make this valve a lot more valuable. Next slide. We also offer the same style in a union connection. This has got a different application where you can put the union on some equipment. Go to the next slide, Chris. We're showing it here on a water meter, which is a sensible place to put it. So the union connection brings another element into, more components needed to build it. And between the union, the ball valve, and the purge, you have the same ability with a T-flow handle to swap the handle out and get the flow coming from either side of the ball. Next slide. This particular product idea came from our rep in upstate New York. And if there's anybody visiting us from New York State, you might know Steve Z. What this valve is it's an expansion tank service valve. And it's primarily used to make the change out of the expansion tank easier. You can isolate it from the system and then purge out the valve, not to make a big mess, but put a hose on there and bring it to a drain and make it a little easier. But take a look at what it's got. If you take a look at the illustration on the far right, it's got a supply feed coming in there. So to build something like this in tight quarters around the expansion tank would be quite time consuming. And we did a design change about a year or two ago. If you take a look at the bottom left, you'll see the MIP model. It comes up very close to the system run. So we came up with a female model that'll allow the contractors to, put a spacer in there to allow a little more room in between the supply feed and the system run. So this has been a very successful product for Webstone. Next slide. Another unique product to the industry is the purge and fill. This is used in snow melt systems, anywhere you need some system draining, flushing, or filling. You take a look at this, it looks like, two ball drains together, but the illustration says it all. You can, isolate one side of the valve, purge in your glycol or whatever you're utilizing, and have it go through the system and then drain right out. So you can system drain, flush, and fill very, very easily. Next slide. This is going to be an interesting segment. Our press and press by PEX transition valves and fittings have really expanded. And next slide. We're going to show a little bit about our press end ball valves. We have two styles really, from 1/2 inch to 2 inch is universal press tools. And for 2.5, 3, and 4 inch, we went to an XLC press end. All have adjustable packing glands. And next slide's okay. And about 2 years ago, we sized up the market area of the Northeast and many other parts of the country, and the profile of many contractors where they were pressing copper from their equipment. And then at some point, they were going to transition and go to utilize PEX piping. So the first transition valve we had, pressed by PEX, became a ball valve. And as you can see, we added the ball drain to this as well. And we're going to make all these products two ways, both the F1960, which is the expansion, and the F1807, which is the crimp style. Next slide. For the first time, Webstone introduced some press by PEX transition fittings. First time we've ever had fittings in the product line, but considering the application and the Webstone way, I believe the choice, if a contractor is going to look for a way to easily transition from press to PEX, they look to these fittings as really their option. And we've introduced some reducing sizes. The sizes go from 1/2 inch to 2 inch, and the reducing sizes now are available from 3/4 by 1/2 and 1 by 3/4. So these have been a really good introduction to the Webstone line. Go to the next slide, take a look at how we expanded it. Well, first, this is a kind of a shout out from Mechanical Hub. They pay a lot of attention to product lines like Webstone, and here's a posting they had, and if you read what's highlighted in yellow, it says, "Ladies and gentlemen, there is a plumbing god and we've crossed paths." So a lot of passion and interest with a lot of likes from this illustration. If you click the next slide, Chris, you'll see this is the coupling installed with PEX. This is expansion, and this has been a great addition to our line. Next slide. So at the AHR show in early February, I saw these for the first time, and with a lot of contractors and distributors from the Northeast that were installing and utilizing radiators, this was received exceptionally well. I didn't realize at the time that the copper used in a radiant and baseboard was soft. So soft that the contractors would acknowledge that it's really risky to put a press gun on that soft copper because it could easily damage it. So we inserted we packaged this this product with a stiffener, and it inserts itself into the baseboard copper, and then you can confidently press on the copper piece with the press installed there. So these are going to sell very well in New England. You go to the next slide. About 2 weeks before this AHR show, a contractor in upstate New York said, "Boy, if you could just put a vent on one of these elbows, you'd really have something there." So as we got to the event, we had these baseboard displays, and we don't only have one vent outlet, but two. And if you want to go vertical or horizontal, we package one plug along with a stiffener, and the value on these elbows is really exceptional. It's not that much more money than a regular Press by PEX elbow fitting, and we're getting extreme interest in these products. Just recently introduced. We just formally announced it in May, and we got a nice thumbs up from Mechanical Hub as best innovation for the AHR show. So hopefully we'll see some activity here. Next slide. Next slide, Chris. This next category is going to be Hydrocore manifold kits, and we're going to take a look at some installations on the complete kits for the Lochinvar Noble boiler. First, a look at this. I became product manager for this Hydrocore group about 10 years ago, and I remember Andrew Pratt and I kind of assembling some contractor committees as we were making some final decisions on not only complete kits, but this Hydrocore manifold in general. And our engineer at the time, Jason Olson, had a lot to do with this design. So accurate spacing on closely spaced tees. And if you can see the two valves there are a version of our isolator, of course, and a version of our ball drain. So this makes up the manifold kit with two valves on it. You're going to see some different style kits, but it also comes with a manifold. And there's that T-flow ball valve design. So we'll go more to that in more detail and show the application and the value there. Next slide, Chris. Here's the savings. You know, if you were to build this, you'd spend a lot of time and effort and a lot of components, a lot of potential leak paths. And this is all one unibody construction, this Hydrocore manifold. Next slide. These are the versions that the manifold kits come in. Sometimes you need the flange on the right side, sometimes on the left. And there's a lot of boilers in the market where the circulator is inside the boiler. So there's no need for an exterior flange. So we came up with what we call a double ball drain manifold and different size connections. Go to the next slide. If you can zoom in on Chris, I created this catalog page just to show how easy it is to reference what manifold kit to select. If you can't zoom in, that's okay.
Yes, can't zoom in, but
okay. These are just the different types of applications coming off the boiler, whether it's top mount or wall hung, and you'll see how we try to illustrate. And you can pick these up in our catalog or on our website. And we show the different styles of manifolds, and we try to give you a system run size and a boiler connection size so you can pick the right manifold for the project. Next slide. Various places to use the Hydrocore manifold. The most common is near boiler piping, but also on secondary loops as well. You're going to need closely spaced tees and perhaps a circulator application there. So these can be used both near boiler and on secondary hydronic loops. Next slide. Next slide, Chris. A close-up look of the manifold. Not having a zoom, if you look down the bottom part of it, we put a little jacket around the manifold, more for packaging purposes, but as it turned out, it became a good jacket to put on after the installation. So this just connects to the manifold, both sides. There's a couple of ties there. So once the install is done, you've got a nice little insulation jacket to put around the manifold. Next slide. This is a really important slide to point out all the benefits of the Hydrocore manifold near boiler. The top left, it shows the normal operation of how the flow would go right by the manifold unless the system needed it. With the pump coming on, it would be sent to the boiler and then back out. It simplifies isolation. If you have to isolate the circulator for any reason to remove it, you can do that. And then down below, there's a way to purge the system. This may not be everybody's choice, but because of the specialty ball valve design, you can take the one end and isolate the boiler from the system, allow the fluid to come into the boiler, and then instead of purging out back into the system, it purges the system out. So another way to do this is to put a valve before the Hydrocore manifold, but you can see how you can isolate the system. And then to the far right is a story that really tells it all as to the value. All manufacturers like to see an easy way to purge and clean their boilers. So by introducing a source of cleaning fluids into one side of the manifold, the pump takes over, introduces the cleaning fluids into the boiler, and then it discharges before it hits the system again. And you've cleaned your boiler out just like you would purge and clean a tankless water heater. Next slide. This is a look at the time savings. This kit is actually the original complete kit for the KBN Lochinvar boiler. And this was a side outlet supply return. But take a look at the components that you'd have to build on the far left. A lot of times you can get from the supply return with this kit in a matter of minutes instead of hours. And this is really what kicked off our complete Hydrocore kits for the Lochinvar series. And we came out with this kit specifically for the KBN boiler. Next slide. Times change and a lot of boiler model changes. And this slide is an illustration of a complete Hydrocore kit that Lochinvar got involved with designing. They wanted to put certain features on a complete kit from Webstone, and you can tell that they are very fond of Y strainers. So on the horizontal piping right here, you pump to the boiler and the Y strainer picks up the debris. But this kit has got a lot of features to it. You start from the supply return fittings. There's 3/4 inch FIP ports if you need them for anything. These get attached right to the copper piping. And Lochinvar has a lot of boilers like this that are supply return is tucked into a corner. So these piping sections had to be bent pretty accurately to get down to this point where we could have it right in place for not only the circulator, but also for the manifold connection. So this was a good addition to the Hydrocore line specifically for a Lochinvar boiler. If you go to the next slide, Chris. Here's a Lochinvar combi that I think was introduced perhaps 3 years ago now, first launched in New England. And I remember the day I went to the FIA Woburn facility to take a look at what we had here. And we had a pretty typical combi boiler where supply return was to the far left and right, and the middle section was quite busy with domestic hot water heater outlets, as well as the center had the outlet for the gas valve. So we had to think of what we had available. So I went back to our Worcester facility, and the very next day came back, and what I grabbed was 2 bent copper pieces that were utilized for the old WHN Lochinvar boiler. And son of a gun, we laid the combi boiler on a table. We connected the supply return to the left and the right, and we found that this bent pipe that came down close to the manifold created the perfect near boiler piping kit for 2 reasons. It allowed it to drape down perfectly to the manifold, and if you've ever installed one of these, you can actually swing this a little bit. So the manifold can swing back or forwards and get out of the way just a few inches, but get out of the way of the piping and size up where you want to start your run. The other thing it did was it gave space for the domestic hot water heater service valves. So we selected the EXP E3 kit from Webstone. And if you take a look at the where the PRV is on this, it's on a swivel adapter. A little detail, but very important. If this was fixed, that PRV would go right into the pipe and just hit it, and you'd have to work around it somewhat. But this swivel adapter allows the contractor to point and direct the PRV where they need to on the particular job. It also drops the hot valve down just a few inches so you can reach in and grab the handle pretty well. So this EXP kit had a wing lever handle on it. And so on the right side, where we went to turn the valve, it bumped right into the pipe. That's how close and tight these quarters are. So we decided to market and sell these kits separately. And if you see the -LH under the EXP E3 valve kits, that means lever handles. And we decided to sell these separately. So when you choose a Hydrocore kit for the Lochinvar Noble Combi, the model numbers in the top right are the IPS, sweat, and press versions of that kit. And then to pick the service valve kits, you order these separately in IPS, sweat, or press. So this page was meant to point out a little bit of the feature and benefits, really for a wholesale distributor that wanted to prepare a contractor's price, look at some features of the size of the manifold, availability in IPS, sweat, and press, the details about the copper assemblies and the 3/4 inch plugged outlets, and then some little details about the Webstone EXP E3 kit, sold separately, but together the package makes up a very valuable and good install kit for this Noble Combi boiler. Been available for about 3 years now, but good kit. Next page. Here we've already reviewed the heat-only Noble boiler, but here's another example of a cell sheet that a distributor could use. The manifold sizes are outlined. The piping configurations are there. And then in the bottom right, I just put a little illustration about how you can purge out the boiler with the Hydrocore manifold and the specialty valves that we've got on it. So 2 good Hydrocore kits for Lochinvar Noble boiler series. Next slide. Getting into thermostatic mixing valves, this has been a increasingly broadening product group for Webstone. We've got 4 temperature ranges, 95 to 120, and then what we call a low temp and a high temp version of thermostatic mixing valves. And then we introduced one for solar applications. I don't know how strong solar is in New England, but the features here are that we needed a high temperature input for solar. So 230 degrees max is what we've got there. Next slide. Here's the application settings from water distribution systems to low temp off a boiler to high temp. And we take a look at a point of use for plumbing fixtures as well. And here's the solar application to the far right. And you can see by the, solar panels can probably heat up much higher temperatures. And so the solar TMV had to be ready to accept the high temperature of water that was heating up. Next slide. 7 different end connections for the thermostatic mixing valves. We've got both PEX end connections covered with the F1807 and F1960. Those are popular models, as well as press ends, all with integral checks. So this is a good quality thermostatic mixing valve, and a lot of selections here. Next slide. The integral check feature is there on all models, and we show how easy it is to set the temperature. It's an easy, just take the cap off. There's a temperature stop there where you select. Once you get the temperature at the right setting, you lock it in, put the cap back on, and you're set to go. Next slide. This was meant for a little zoom in feature, but we don't have it. But on our website and in our catalogs, we try to make the reference of this as easy as possible. All of the TMVs have a flow rate of a ½ gallon per minute. And we try to make a good reference here as to model selection, press end connections as well. And pretty good reference page on our website. Next slide. We came out with a water heater tempering valve about 2 or 3 years ago. There are some states that have this as a code, state of Vermont being one. I just started to manage the Ohio market area, and that's a code out there. Allows water heater to be set at least 140 degrees, minimizing risk of developing Legionella bacteria, and prevents risks of scalding, which is the main feature. Next slide. It's often referred to as a booster, to try to make a 40-gallon tank water heater a little more efficient and a little stronger. And here you take a look at our features here: adjustable temperature control. Some of the features here: an integrated recirculating port, and a new feature here recently is a new tempering bypass valve. If you've got to go to some equipment, a dishwasher or something commercially or residentially. Next slide. Next slide, Chris. Here you see the application of what might happen and what temperatures might be needed. The mix here is 86 to 120 degrees. And if you bypass it, you can get up to 194 degrees. Good product and good addition to our thermostatic mixing valves. Next slide. Chris, you're gonna have to tap on this a few to get some of the copy up. There you go. This is the best selling new launch product for Webstone nationally. It's an under the sink thermostatic mixing valve, small. It comes in 3 styles. Quarter gallon per minute flow rate. Next slide, Chris. You can tap the slide and some more copy will come up, but it comes in three ways. On the far left rather, is the most competitively priced product where we're winning a lot of projects here. Steve Graham just introduced this to an engineer who's working on a high school in the Worcester area. I just had the same project quote. I did it out in Ohio for a high school where they're putting these under individual sinks. And you've got a mounting bracket that comes with this. A lot of projects are considering the bypass valves. So it comes body only valve with the bypass, or the valve with the bypass and the gauge. So a good addition to our line. We think we've got good competitive pricing on this for projects. So consider this if you're working on a project that needs an individual thermostatic mixing valve for under the sink application. Next slide. EXP service valve kits. We'll go to the next slide and we'll take a look at the Webstone offering here. We were one of the first to come out with this service valve kits, back in the early 2000s. And this has been really a high profile kit for Webstone. The valve kit on the bottom is our original EXP kit. The one to the left is where we're selling most right now. And the new version to the top right, we'll talk about in a few seconds. If there was any example of why buy a Webstone product, it's the ability to have a complete product. And the old way is very cumbersome to create a valve kit like this with unique connections, purge drains in the valve body. These have to be compact to fit underneath the tankless heater. And I think there's a viable way to take a look at these kits as being very valuable for that application. We also make this in a 1-inch style with a 30 PSI pressure relief valve. And sometimes these are used on boilers as well. Next slide. Here's the application setting, which is typical. We make these in 3/4 inch and 1 inch. 6 different configurations from FIP, which is the most popular, also available in push and both press end connections. Next slide. Here's the original, and this particular illustration shows it in the PEX end connections, used for diagnostic testings on tankless, but primarily for the cleaning out of the tankless water heater. Next slide. Here's the fundamental application for it. Putting your cleaning solution in a bucket with a circulator, pump it up to the valve purge openings. It goes into the tankless heater and out and takes care of it. If you remember when tankless water heaters first came out, the manufacturer was saying if you don't purge out your tankless heater once a year, you void the warranty. So these became very common and a very logical valve to put in a tankless heater. Next slide. The industry is changing. We put in these 3 examples where tankless water heater manufacturers are adding features to their equipment, which is going to change the need for the service valve kits from Webstone as we know it. You take a look at the one on the left, Renai has put a PRV port on their certain model series there. Noritz in the middle is putting their connections on some products on the top. And in the far right, you take a look at the Bosch Green Therm tankless heater, where they're even putting flush valves on their equipment. So you go to the next slide, you'll take a look at what we've done. We've created some different features on our product. On the far left, you take a look at a hot and cold valve, but you see we've taken off the pressure relief valve outlet. Not necessary for those tankless water heaters that have that already on their equipment. And you take a look at the one on the right for those tankless water heaters that are going to put the purge drain on there. We assume they're still going to want to isolate their equipment. So you got a hot and a cold valve with a union connection available in a number of end connections. But this might change in the future the nature and the style of the service valve kits for tankless water heaters. Next slide. So we've come out with a more competitive valve kit. We call it the EXP Ultra Compact. This industry segment's getting very, very competitive, and we needed to address price points. And so the EXP Ultra Compact really gets us into a competitive price point range. We made it just 30% smaller than the current EXP E2, and that was enough to give us the price point that we needed. Next slide. If you hit the button a couple times, some copy will come up. But in introducing this, we've just explained that it's a aluminum body valve handle. It's got double O-rings for stem seals, but it's got the Webstone proven track record, our warranty, and this is available now. And so if you're bidding any projects and want to take a look at the EXP Ultra Compact, this really rounds out the EXP series for Webstone and gives us a good range of valve kits to offer. Next slide. Those are the two styles. It only comes in IPS and sweat. And that concludes the presentation for Webstone and the FIA webinar. And I think we did that in a timely fashion where we can field a few questions.